Hey folks, this is Rhykker with an update on where we are in the Sombra ARG, the alternate reality game. In this video, we'll go over the outcome of the countdown timer, the updated A Moment in Crime website, the new Sombra teaser that can be found in-game, and we'll debunk a couple Sombra hoaxes. Now, I was planning to have a more substantial update than what we currently have, but you guys have been asking for an update since our last video, and where we left off there was with a very exhausted Rhykker who had been up all night because of Sombra. Current time is 9:16 a.m. Eastern. Following along in the Discord, trying to help out where I could, but more importantly, doing my best to understand everything and be able to reproduce all the steps that the master codebreakers were doing in figuring out all of these Sombra clues. The final pieces of the puzzle were solved in the wee hours of the morning, and I just had a few hours to get the video together and managed to get it up just in time before the countdown timer finished. A lot of us were expecting something. Maybe something big, possibly a Sombra reveal, maybe a cinematic, who knows, but at least something more than what we got, which was a countdown timer to a count up timer. Nothing major happened when the countdown timer ended. However, we noticed that the amomentincrime.com website updated. And what it then said, translating from Spanish, was establishing connection, Sombra protocol version 1.9 initiated, transmitting information to active Omnix, ... 2%, ending connection. The website was very basic, and if you take a look at the source code, there isn't a lot there, but what was found was something hidden within the HTML coding. A message for us. Now, Google Translate and second language speakers of Spanish did their best to translate the message, but some connotations were lost in translation, some slang, and so someone from Mexico or several people from Mexico helped clear things up. And what this message says is, well done, you have my password. Hacking this television program was meaningless. Wait for what is coming. So what did any of this mean? What was this 2%? Well, as people started guessing, it wasn't long before that rose to 3%. Maybe about half an hour before that happened. I think it was about an hour later that it got to 4%, but then we went several hours before another update, until finally reaching 5%. And it was at 5% that the version number changed to 1.95 from Protocol Sombra version 1.9. It was also then that a second comment was found hidden in the source code. Something was added. And again, that translated message is, it seems that things are warming up a little. Gotta go unnoticed while it completes. Now, this percentage counter was rather odd, especially given that at first, the rate at which it was increasing was not consistent. It seems that once it hit 5%, it did then become consistent, and we also started to get some decimal places. And it seems that the percentage increases by 0.0038 every 3 minutes. As of the time of this recording, we're at a little over 13%, and based on the current rate of increase, it seems that we'll reach 100% completion around October 16th or 17th. And some extrapolations suggest that on September 5th, the date that Season 2 starts in Overwatch, we'll be at 23%, with 23 being a recurring theme within Sombra's codes, given that Sombra will be the 23rd Overwatch character. Now, one thing to note about the source code here is that there's no special formatting for the timer. That percentage just seems to be plain text, which almost suggests that this timer is being updated manually. Admittedly, I am not an expert in web design, but I do know a little bit, and I would have expected to see where that percentage timer is, that percentage meter. I thought there would have been some kind of coding, either referencing something external to pull that number from. I'm very actually confused as to how they might have done this. At this point, I would almost think that they've programmed a bot or a script to go in and manually edit a page every time it needs to increment. Now, while work is ongoing on trying to solve Tracer's Trail, which is one of our current loose ends, and we'll get to another in just a bit here, the two messages in the source code, to me, are very clearly telling us to wait. Again, the first one is, well done, you have my password, hacking this television program was meaningless. Wait for what is coming. And because apparently that wasn't clear enough, she then added the second message, it seems things are warming up a little, gotta go unnoticed while it completes. Folks, I think Sombra's saying, until we reach 100%, you guys can take it easy. You've done some great work. Rest. So while most people believe that we don't yet have what we need to crack the tracer trail, which is our biggest loose end, there's also the image of Rhykker. And that's something that still does have some ongoing work going into it and may result in something. To rehash, the code breaking community, through the Overwatch YouTuber Muselk, sent an image to via Twitter to the official Overwatch Twitter to Sombra, and that image was a data moshed image. We've gone over data moshing in our previous Sombra videos. Basically, they hid a message in there, basically saying, "Okay, Sombra, let's play a little game, and in return, you can give us something to play with." This was back when we were looking for more clues, something more to take a bite out of. We had basically exhausted what information we had and needed a new lead. In the crazy forum post from last week that sparked last week's video, we saw that Rhykker image. So Sombra acknowledged our existence, acknowledged that we tried to make contact, and the other thing was that we noticed that the image was altered. There was some more code injected into it. The problem is that the image that Blizzard received was not at its original resolution. Through Twitter and whatever, it was compressed. So when things are compressed, data is lost and changed. And so whatever message was put in was just lost and meaningless, again, once we went through that Twitter formatting. So if there still is some hidden message in what Blizzard sent back to us, it's not going to be visible through data moshing. So people have been looking into other ways to find out what might have been encrypted within the image. In fact, one codebreaker is potentially making some groundbreaking strides in decoding the image, but it's still very preliminary, and we won't go into the specifics of that unless it actually turns out to be something, and we can get some hidden message, but very basically, he's maybe starting to pull some letters after doing some magic work, and if he's to pull more, it's going to require a lot more effort on his part. Again, we're not going to get into any deeper explanation, and that's just because he's potentially just finding things where nothing exists. Now, we have actually received a new Sombra teaser that can be found on the PTR, the Public Test Realm. This appears in a number of maps and can be seen on a newspaper. This new newspaper appeared that says Global Hacking Spree. Now we know for sure that this is new, and so we can only assume that this must be a reference to Sombra. If there was any doubt, it is now confirmed that she is a hacker. The newspaper there used to look like this. It used to be about Roadhog, the Roadhog Rampage. And any place that you can find this newspaper, you can now find, or you will be able to find once the next patch releases, this Sombra teaser. Now we're going to end this video with two Sombra hoaxes. I'm just going to straight out call them hoaxes because there's really no evidence that any of this is credible. But they have gained some traction, and there's a lot of people that actually believe in these hoaxes. The first is a YouTube video titled Overwatch Sombra on Dorado. Have a look. Now, before we even analyze the video any further, let's take a look at whether this is a trustworthy source. It's submitted by a YouTuber with no other videos, comments are disabled, and there's nothing in the video description. Already, your suspicions should be raised. If you'd found Sombra, you made this video, wouldn't you maybe write something in the description? Why disable comments unless you think you're going to be downvoted to hell? Okay, yeah, maybe you'd figure people might accuse you of a hoax, but then again, why write nothing in the description? Surely this merits some form of description. Now, onto the video itself, the first thing you notice is that as soon as this sound is heard, it seems whoever's playing this game knows exactly where to look to see Sombra. Now, maybe if she were wearing a bright pink jumpsuit that was flashing neon colors, yeah, if I heard a sound and I saw that, from the corner of my eye, I would go look there. But a cloaked character, it's highly suspect that she seems to know exactly where to look. And if you can say, well, it's because she's found this character multiple times and so she knows where to look, then again, why not write that in the description? And if she was able to find the character multiple times, how come we have no one else coming out and saying, and having more footage of this? Why is there no one else with evidence? Now, the second thing you'll notice is that the tracking of the crosshair is so super smooth across the bridge. If I had found Sombra, if I saw some weird cloaked figure, I'd be kind of freaking out. So let's try to recreate what this would look like. You're leaving the defender's spawn room, right? You're about here, bam, you hear this sound, you stop on your tracks, you're freaking out, like what the hell was that? Somehow out of the corner of your eye you catch some motion up there, so you snap up there to look, and then you see someone crossing the bridge. Would your reaction be to super smoothly track that target across the bridge? It's not like your eyes are focused on where your crosshair is. I can stay like this, and I would have a perfectly fine view of seeing her cross that bridge. I would not need to move my mouse along. But really, the only reason I'm putting so much focus on the mouse tracking is that look at the blur and look at the crosshair. Tell me what you see. Is it not perfectly following along at the same speed? Watching in slow motion, we can see that the distance between the crosshair and the blur remains almost exactly the same, if not exactly the same, throughout the length of that run, which really points towards something added in video editing. Basically, instead of animating a moving smudge on the screen, you're just putting a smudge on the screen and moving the world around it to give the illusion of the smudge moving, when in fact it's actually just staying at the same spot on your screen. So unless anything more comes out about that, that is well and truly busted and not worth exploring any further. Now, as for the other hoax, this one has a little bit more credibility to it. This was an alleged screenshot of Sombra found in-game. And if you look at it, at least at first, it seems pretty convincing. There's no obvious markers of this being a bad Photoshop job. The edges are blended really well. And what's really convincing to people who work with Photoshop is how well this section with the radial alt symbol was done. They really made it look like that alt symbol is on top. I mean, it's a lot of work to go through the trouble of cutting all that out, cutting out the layers from this character, to get the alt to look like it's superimposed. Some people have pointed out that the lighting isn't quite right on this model. Others pointed out that the model seems flat and not actually a 3D presence in the world. And that's been countered with the possibility that if this was seen in game, it wasn't actually a 3D model, but just 2D art just put up as a sort of an Easter egg or a teaser. And the person who posted this actually did spin quite a little tale. He posted this to Battle.net saying, "Holy crap, I screenshotted Sombra." Invented some story about he's not sure how to reproduce it, but he was Junkrat, he was walking around, doing some stuff on Dorado. Then he says he heard some footsteps, and bam, Sombra appears for a split second, and he just happened to slam his key on print screen just in time to grab that. He describes her as having these blurry invisibility stripes going along her, and this thread actually gained some traction on the Battle.net forums. In fact, someone, either a friend of his or someone playing along with the hoax, started to say that they were able to reproduce the steps and see Sombra, but they didn't know how to take a screenshot, so they weren't able to actually provide any proof. And this just started a wild goose chase that wasted a lot of people's time in trying to reproduce these steps to get Sombra to appear. No one else has come up with any proof. No one else has legitimately said that they've seen her. Those who have basically just kept digging themselves into a hole. The more they would be questioned and the more information they would give, they would just start losing all credibility. The person who made this hoax, the guy Starfire here who made the forum post, he was very wise in what he said and not saying too much more. Now, the best evidence that we have that this is not real, is not authentic, is that in the metadata, you see that this was last saved in Photoshop. If this were a straight screenshot, then that would have been, you hit print screen, right? And it just gets saved to your screenshots folder. There's no need to copy-paste something in Photoshop. And then to show how this could be faked, someone quickly mocked up this image here showing a StarCraft character in the screenshot as well. So this could definitely be reproduced as a hoax. But now to put the final nail in the coffin of this particular hoax, Starfire screwed up. He got greedy. He wanted more attention. A couple days after he posted that first thread, he posted a second. This time trying to impersonate Sombra, posting that familiar establishing connection text. Then in half English, half Spanish, and not particularly good English for that matter either, he writes a message from Sombra, and this is completely breaking in the character of Sombra, where she's basically introducing herself and saying, hey, I'm in the game, I'm not ready yet, but here, you can see what I'm looking like as a work in progress. And he posts these 3 images, and while yes, they convincingly look like they are in the game, they are in the map, it is abundantly clear at this point that this is a hoax. There's just no way that this character model is up to Blizzard standards with the rest of the Overwatch characters. It is completely out of place, and it even looks like it's borrowing assets from Pharah and Ana. Those lines on the face and that visor. Later in the thread, Starfire tries to talk some more, tries to find some way to regain some credibility by changing his story a bit and basically implying that he managed to get a hold of some early source material, or that Blizzard maybe reached out to him to give him some breadcrumbs to leave for Sombra to keep the whole Sombra game going on. Look, what happened here is he's probably a 3D artist of some sort. He probably made that 3D model or somehow acquired someone's assets. This is likely not concept art from another game. This is likely mashed up from in-game assets with some original assets added to it. It's not terrible, but it is amateurish work, and again, this would not have been something Blizzard made. So that wraps up this video. We're waiting for this 100% for our next Sombra clue. Maybe something else will come in the meantime, but for now, I think she's told us to sit down and wait. But what do you guys think about all this? What do you think of Sombra? What do you think of the result of the countdown timer? Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch supporters and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Rhyker's Raiders to be alerted when my next Sombra video goes live. For the past 2 weeks, the Overwatch world has been going absolutely crazy over the latest Sombra clues. For about a month now, Blizzard has been giving us secret hidden clues as to the identity of Overwatch's next character, Sombra. And this currently